What's up, Nando?
What's up, Nick?
Hi,
How are you,
Nando.
Juliana? Thank
How
you
are
guys
you?
for having me on today.
Thanks
Yeah,
to you.
it's good to talk to you. I've been meaning to have you on forever, and it's just like
Okay,
for
you
some
got
reason I
Val.
forget.
People get Val. People are like, oh, okay. We got the cool sibling.
Yeah, well, like I had Valerie. She was like one of the first guests, I think, or pretty early on. And
It was a great interview.
yeah, thank you, Juliana. Yeah, but so yeah, glad you're here. You just got married, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
was like, isn't
Congratulations.
that
yeah.
crazy? I'm out there trying to smile, but not smile too much because I don't want people to see this gap in my mouth. But,
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, off camera, you were mentioning you had a little issue with a. We'll
with
leave it
the,
off record, I think, because
yeah, I
it's
think so. It's better
you
for
don't want to
now.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What I can tell you without
but
naming anything is that, surprisingly so, this is from what do you call a smash burger concept,
okay,
where the patties are like I want to say
yeah,
like a quarter of an inch thin,
uh-huh.
and the screw that I bit into is
Yeah,
clearly like half, three quarters of an inch.
fuck,
So it's like,
yeah,
at what point does your cook not know, like, dude, you're not smashing anything any further?
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, like yeah, like you're smashing it like the screw. You have to like it has to make a sound hitting the
Yeah,
like the griddle
no,
and shit.
we went over through this whole thing, and I was like, Chef, how
Yeah.
do you guys miss
Like, how
it?
is that possible?
And then
How is that
they were
even
able
Yeah.
to
possible?
track the machine that it came out of. But look, it's a weird point, but we're in
Yeah.
hospitality. These things happen, and it's like apparently they tracked it to the onion cutter. So basically, by the
Yeah.
prep station, they have a guy who's just, because they do so many caramelized onions, who's just peeling onions, putting them in some sort of cutter, pushing them down, and then they fall into a bucket. And that friction, I mean, you must think this machine is just going and going all day, and
Mm-hmm.
friction will unscrew something, and it fell onto the bucket. From the bucket, the prep guy goes to the line cooks like here, or he takes it to the prep. Of the prep go to the walk-in and refills his station, and that's it. And so there's many hands at play here.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. A weird accident, I guess. But yeah, that sucks
Yeah.
that you bit into a
Yeah.
screw when eating a
Oh,
hamburger.
Yeah.
And
it's all
yeah,
good.
and right before a wedding, so yeah, that's unlucky and it
No,
sucks.
but it's okay. I had all
Um,
my pictures taken from the left side. Nothing.
okay, there you go. But you can't.
My
I mean,
wife
you can't
approved.
tell right now. At least it wasn't like a front tooth
No.
or
No, no,
something. Yeah.
no.
So
Thank God, Nick. Oh my
yeah,
God.
So,
Thank
specific
God.
instructions to the photographer. Did you
Yeah.
have to
yeah.
Definitely had
address
a
that?
couple of earlier chats with the people taking photographs. Shout out to Clarence, Julian.
All right, man. One thing I wanted to talk about is I knew you had a rap career, but I never actually heard any of it. And like a few weeks ago on Instagram, like I was making like a reel or something, and one of your songs came up. Like it had nothing to do with anything I was making a reel about. It was like in South Africa or something, and but your song came up as a recommendation, and it was a Sushi Chef.
Ah.
So like I didn't realize it was your some of your rapping was kind of about food.
Yeah, I'm like, I wanted to be Action Bronson so bad when I was younger.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So like most of the tracks have like some kind of like food reference.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of them,
Okay.
not as much as action, but I definitely, I always thought that rapping. It's so funny. So the the record label that I signed on to, when after the recording of the album was done, and here comes like the logistics about marketing and launching this record, everything that I had in my mind through the recording process, they were against. They were like, "No, we don't want to see you in the kitchen. We think you should have, the typical the
Yeah.
cars, or maybe you're like in some sort of
Yeah.
club. You have the girls, and you have like, And I was like." that would have nothing to do with
Yeah.
the content
With my life. Yeah.
of the music, so I wouldn't understand it. But the more they suggested it to me, the more I would want to make music about specific things that they were telling me not to mention in my
Right.
film. And that's how my music came about. It was really
Yeah.
more therapeutic than anything. I didn't really like to speak about it. Never like to like do the bother my friends on social media about it. I was one of
Uh,
those people that always felt bad or something. I don't know why.
wh-
Tell me, but I felt like I did music for myself, and
yeah.
those who liked kind of what I had been doing for a while already. But I wasn't trying to accept the fact that if you're trying to live off of this industry, the music industry, you have to apply yourself also
Yeah.
the same way I would apply myself in a kitchen by showing up,
Right.
at
Yeah.
8 a.m.
Yeah.
I
No.
didn't do any of
I'm.
those prerequisites.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, it's weird that you can't just like make the art. You have to like. There's nothing more uncomfortable to me than talking about myself and
Yeah.
like talking about like things I've created. You know what I mean? Like some things I've written or like a book or something. It's weird to me, but I think it's like we're in a world now where you like have to, like
Hmm.
if you want to. Very few people can like manage to just let the world take it and I don't know and run with it and build a career that way. It's like you
Yeah.
have to just like constantly market yourself, and it's soul killing,
Yeah.
but it's the world we live in. And I read something the other day about like how younger generations it just like comes natural, talking on social media about yourself and
Well, they've been streaming.
promoting.
They're like
Yeah.
teenagers. Like I remember my
Yeah,
younger brother, who's now 21, and I remember Junior when he was 7, 8 years old. He must have already been in an Xbox streaming him games and like with people from across the world. So yeah, I could
yeah,
see it's so natural to them. Where to us,
yeah.
it's like what?
No,
No.
it's fucking weird, man. Like to
Yeah.
me, to talk about myself on social media to
Yeah.
random people,
And
it's
Nick, I get
uncomfortable.
I get a I get comments often about my lack of presence there, and I always remind people like I'm not absent. I don't like
Yeah,
posting, and I don't like. Uh, I just don't like it. It doesn't mean that I don't
yeah,
see what you guys are doing, that I'm not
yeah,
supporting it, that I
yeah,
don't. It just I'm not. I'm no longer driven. Because I was. I remember when I first got into social media, and I thought like this is a competition. This is a competition about
yeah.
food and everything that was who plates the nicest or who's getting the
Right.
best product. And in a way, I realized like that was all wrong. It was all wrong. That all led me to that's all ego talk and
Yeah,
unnecessary for me because I wanted to strip the restaurant away from all that. This should be about what we do every day, whether the world sees it or not. The guests that are coming here know it and they
yeah.
see it and they should feel it more than see it on but it's
On
a challenge,
Instagram.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you, because there's many ways to skin a cat, and I don't mean to say any of this to talk down on anybody who's taking that approach to filling up their restaurant, right? Because at the end of the day,
yeah,
if your restaurant seats are not full, you're you're gonna struggle some way or another.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't blame anyone either, and
Yeah,
it's just the way it is sometimes. And like, I mean, as journalists, if we don't like post on social media, nobody fucking reads anything anymore.
yeah,
Like nobody's like logging in. Like, thankfully, I have a
Yeah.
newsletter now where it
Directly.
goes direct to people's inboxes, and I think, you know, thankfully people read it that way. But if you just rely on people to randomly log in or just go to a website to check daily if anything's been written, it's like they don't care. It's just whatever like appears in front of them. But yeah, it's weird.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
this weird world.
But it was
uh,
on my music career, just to take it back to that point, that's kind of how it was. It was an outlet for me to speak on things that I was going through. And when music became, I mean, when food became that thing in my life that I really cared about the most, then it just naturally reflected on the music that I was recording. So Sushi Chef was kind of that, uh, I guess, subject that I really wanted to kind of build a character for myself in that
Yeah.
universe that was the music. And I was like, well, if I am going to be a character, I'd rather, yeah, because seeing like Maddie Matheson and Bronson, who are people who I really looked up to, that were doing kind of the stuff that I dreamt of, like, oh, I really want to do this. This is cool. Like, these
Yeah.
guys live the best lives ever. I thought Sushi Chef was a good representation of myself, but it gave me like an image that didn't step on other people's images, and that was really important because
Hmm.
like growing up on like '90s East Coast rap music, it was like writing your own bars or raps was just as important as anything else. Like just the fact that you could feel proud that you are aware of what others do so you don't take from them was something that so that's how that came about. And my dad, out of all people, had a blast while I was recording this song, and he would play it for every single person that we came across. And it's pretty cool. It's good
But
times.
I mean, it's a very particular. Like you talk about like ceviche in that
Yeah.
song too, right? Like
The,
yeah,
the,
yeah. So
the
it's like
album, I think
it's
the album was called Ceviche. It's like it
yeah,
was
yeah, right, right.
a 5-song EP.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, I listened to it on Spotify. Yeah, it's really good, man. Like I liked it.
Thank you, brother. Thank
Um,
you.
do you still rap at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazingly so. I have I've not recorded in a very long time, but do I rap? Yeah, every day. I mean, I'm on
Oh
expo
yeah.
sometimes, and I'm rapping inside of my head, whether it's
All right.
something about something that's happening in front of me or just making a joke to myself. I've never been able to pull that out of my brain. I've always remained some sort of MC at heart.
Do you want to
Fun.
spit something right now?
No.
Come on, just not
Why
like what you're doing
not?
right now. Come on.
No. But maybe,
Oh,
maybe I'll leave you guys a surprise for the 1 or 2 minutes that we have to wait before we leave our session.
okay, okay, all right. Um,
But I still think this, even with social media and that pressure, you made this distinction between seeing what you're eating or food in general and what you feel. And I still think it's a very valid distinction. And I wish more people use social media and the visual side of it to get just to a door to get there, to feel the food, because you see more and more people, we know this, just like taking pictures, and and I wonder how much they are actually feeling. And I think it's very nice. I'm sure this is something you approach in the work you do, and I just wanted to highlight that, like that distinction between seeing and feeling food,
Oh,
given
thank you.
that there is so
It means a
much
lot, man.
focus on
Yeah.
the visual part, right?
No, I completely agree. I think candidly, I'm just not. I just couldn't handle that part. Even to create the distinction is one thing. The thing about social media that I don't do well with is how consistent you have to be at it, and I'm just not very good at that.
Yeah, yeah.
I I am a workaholic by my trade is really what I love to do, and I will be here at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'll leave at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not tired, I'm not bothered, but during those 18 hours or 22 hours that I can be up, I am not concerned with social media. And then I find out at the end of the day that because I didn't do something on it, then I lost, or you lose your momentum, as my dad always likes to say. And that's the part that I just realized a long time ago. Because I cannot devote as much time to it. What ends up happening is a lot of what I'm seeing, even with my peers. You eventually have somebody who handles your social media for you, or two, you dive in fully, and that, I think it's a very dangerous place for me to want to explore, because today, um, no, I'm super in love with what I do on a day to day basis, and I don't know how much longer this is gonna last for me. So I try to keep it very close to my chest. I think I'm just trying to be honest. Like, it's just not one thing that I could handle very well. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I don't like seeing my friends and my family, my peers on. I love it. I mean, I love even seeing something there that could inspire you. But I also think, like anybody who's ever created anything of this sort of, when you are looking at when you're constantly looking at other people's stuff, which social media can just be giving you everybody's content, then it might mess with my subconsciousness and the way I create things, or how I like to think of something. And that part, yeah, I'm just like, if I've been able to recognize that that's a flaw in my brain, then I'd rather, yeah, I have to know exactly the nutrients to give it. Otherwise, I'm feeding it so much from everybody that I could make a mistake that I don't want to, you know. And it could be as simple as not trusting your gut, and when
Hmm.
it comes to making a decision for a dish, because now you're seeing a trend, and this trend is now in your head, and now you're like, oh, I should do this. And 6 months ago, maybe you would have decided something different, only because you were maybe a little more in tune with your own ideas, instead of
Hmm.
everything that's being shot at you. And that's my whole thing. I think some of us are able to, like, use it very well, and you can deal with it. I can't, you know. So
So, Itamae officially reopened when?
Itamae officially reopened, I want to say this is our fourth week, so 3 Thursdays ago. I want to say May 18th.
Okay, that sounds about right. Um, but it's very different
May
now than
16th.
what it
Sorry.
was. May
Yeah,
16th.
yeah.
But so the new Itamae, which is located next to Maty's,
Uh-huh.
it's like, do you enter through Maty's or is
Yeah.
there
So you
another?
enter through
Okay.
Maty. It's like you're going to an omakase, you know.
Hmm.
Through
Okay.
We do have a door, but it's an exit door only.
Okay. All right. So it's a very different experience than the original Itamae. So it's much more intimate, and it's only omakase, right?
It's it's a tasting menu. It's really not an
Okay.
omakase, but
All right.
uh, I think I like to make that differentiation, only because I understand omakases very well, and we did not really think of many omakases to come up with this menu. We really looked
Okay.
at a lot of tasting menus and said, okay, this is where we want to be at, you know?
Regardless, it's still a very different format
Yeah, very much.
than the original Itamae. So, why did you decide to go tasting menu, like in this case, instead of like how it used to be?
Um, because I think I've had it. Look, Nick, I have in 2000 we started doing pop-ups. Erik Saltzman and myself,
Mm.
who are two of the five partners here at Itamae. I met David Morales around the same time, who's my other partner, and then we did a Peruvian Japanese tasting menu that was like 6 courses, and that's what we shopped around as a concept. In 2018, my dad was like, well, if you're not gonna decide on any of these locations, I'm gonna enter this food hall and I'm gonna open Itamae.
Okay.
Itamae in the food hall was fast casual, as you know, rolls, bowls, and
Hmm.
some cold apps like your kani salad, tuna tataki, and then I think we had some like maybe one tiarito, one ceviche.
Yeah.
So it was always fish and rice, really, always. So
Hmm.
whether it was a tasting menu, it's in its inception, and then going into like first phase, it'll be a fast casual. I think we had 2018, 19, which were great years in a food hall, but we capped out. We capped out at everything we had wanted was um, was at our reach. Meaning when it came to food halls and food
Hmm.
stalls, our concept was hitting on everything that we wanted to do well. We were doing. We standardized not only flavors but standardized really just recipes that worked for the price average that we needed to hit, which was, I believe, at that point, $16, $17 per item.
Hmm.
No more than $18 per roll, $18 per ceviche. This was like us not really cooking nothing extravagant, but just learning how to be business owners. My dad had given us like real tasks of like, hey, if you guys want to open this restaurant you guys keep talking about, here's your base. Now let's sell these at this rate. Now and then obviously it's a collaboration between all of
Hmm.
us making these decisions. But that's really how we kept our goals in mind during those first 2 years. Then the pandemic happened. My dad had reopened B side, and I was like, "Hey, I really want to open Itamae downstairs, but a different version." I saw it as a
Hmm.
different opportunity. So at this point, um, I went to Itamae, and really I started operating by myself. Meaning, for the first time, I stopped cooking with Val and I stopped cooking with my dad,
Hmm.
and I had really taken the reins of Itamae, which what we consider 2.0, which was
Hmm.
downstairs. Um, 2.0 is my favorite version of Itamae because I believe Itamae needs an a la carte menu the way we had an a la carte menu, because it's very unique and it worked really well for the kind of rent that we were paying in Design
Hmm.
District. But Design District would not let their foot off my neck with the fact that they wanted us to operate from 11:45 in the morning
Yeah.
till they were like, we don't care if you open from 12 to 8. That's the times the mall has to open. You're required to open. If you don't open these hours, you're fine.
You
And so
mean the
we did like the what?
local administration was demanding that from you, or who?
Well, it was the my landlord.
Oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
design district. So the landlord, as much as we wanted to change, is what I was saying, for version 1 to 2.0, our requirements were such that even what we really wanted to be, we couldn't be. So we've always
Hmm.
made these changes with, like, gradually, I'm saying. At 2.0, with the great a la carte menu that we had a bar that took care of 6 guests inside. At some point in year 3, we started doing a tasting menu just for the 6 seats inside. It was not printed. Both beverage and dinner menu were not printed. It was literally, you would come in, and if you asked about it, would give it to you. If you didn't ask about it, we'd say you get the regular a la carte menu. This menu 2.0 was different than in 1.0, where we went to more nigiri, which by then I really felt like a couple years of training and doing nigiri. I was at a place in my life where I was like, okay, I've never had a sushi master, but I feel comfortable enough now where I know enough and I've studied this enough where I'm gonna make this change. We're gonna go from giving you 8 pieces of a roll to 1 piece for probably half the price of the roll. So that was a big thing for me. That's a
Hmm.
big challenge for you to tell somebody who's been coming to eat at your restaurant, hey, I used to have an acevichado roll, which 8 pieces of a roll with sauce and extra
Right.
this and that. Now you for $18, now you get 1 piece of kinmedai at $9. But the beauty of sushi is that you may bite into 1 piece of fish that makes you go, oh my god, that was so much worth than eating all this sauce and all these other things that we did, which was also great. But that was the challenge.
Hmm.
And in the same vein, the challenge with 3.0 was the same. Was now we don't have this landlord who's basically demanding our hours of operation, which means we have the morning time to prepare ourselves for dinner, which is, I was looking forward to this for so long. Because for so many years, my life was hectic between 10 a.m. and like noon. Because as much as my fish purveyors are nice to me and they really try to send me fish as early as possible, it's impossible. Miami's a very small town with very small roads, and all of a sudden in season your fish is coming in at 10:30, 11 through your doors, and you have to open by noon.
Hmm.
Not just because you're open outside, because your counter is open, because your counter is an open kitchen, people are watching you. And so I think what happened was, during those 2.5 years downstairs, we didn't know, but what we were actually doing was we were preparing ourselves to be in an open kitchen where we could do a counter service.
Hmm.
So I think, why are we doing this is because this was always meant to be this way. Even if you look at it, like I said, the pop-up that we were doing before 1.0 was
Hmm.
already a tasting menu. And because this is the challenge. The challenge is, look, Nick, I have not had the luxury of working for a lot of chefs. Majority of my life, I've worked for my father, and that's limited me in a lot of ways. Once I got to this tier of like where I know who my peers are, when I really feel confident to what I'm cooking and I see what everybody else is cooking around me, I realize that a lot of my flaws are in my foundation, and where a lot of people that can start with stronger mentors and stronger restaurants have just a little stronger foundation on the basics. And when you have to relearn these things, it takes you a little bit longer, like it's taken me.
Hmm.
But what I really what I really started leaning on the most was the fact that, okay, even though I've learned this way, I'm 100% confident that I go to other Nikkei restaurants and I know that we're very unique. I know that the way we think things through are very unique. And last year I spent some time in Lima, and I got to spend some time personally with Micha.
Hmm.
And man, I don't know, it was what an amazing experience for me to be able to ask some questions that I really wanted to ask directly, about Nikkei food overall and how he feels and how
Hmm.
does he see it. And you know what, I had great confirmation on a lot of things that I felt already, and it just felt really empowering to say, good, that means good. I heard what I needed to hear, which was,
Yeah.
there's a lot of mutual respect, and I would have never imagined that. I mean, this is somebody who was, like, I tell him, like, dude, that Nikkei as Peru was a Bible for me for so many years. I mean,
Hmm.
every single thing I wanted to do, we wanted to learn from this book. And I mean, what have they not done that we could even do? Um, but I needed to take on that attitude first and then live my life with that attitude, and then eventually it manifested itself in like what we do now, which I think Itamae now is a very unique version of Nikkei food. And I think that we have tried to be as authentic as possible in our approach. The only other place that ever made me feel that Nikkei food wise was the first time I went to Llama, where I realized I had uh, I had not thought much of Lama-san until I went to eat. And obviously, I mean this from reading the menu, from seeing it when they first opened. I was like, oh, okay. Not sure if it interests me
Hmm.
until I went to eat. And then it shut my mouth. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is the first time that I'm connecting with like a Peruvian American chef who's very much American more than Peruvian, just like
Yeah.
Val and I are. Like we're Peruvian kids at heart, but really are American. You understand?
Hmm.
We are. And to see Eric's take on Peruvian Japanese food without having to follow any blueprint that had already been set gave me an idea that I could eventually find myself doing the same. You know that we didn't need to do the copy and paste of Maido that has happened in so
Hmm.
many parts of, especially the U.S., where people think that if you copy and paste but you cross continents, it's okay, I guess, because you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. First, I want to say, like, yeah, Lama-san is amazing. Especially, like, I went there not that long, a few months ago, or a couple months ago, and like Francisco Castillo is a chef there now with Eric, and it's like, man, the food they're putting out is it's incredible. It's the best I've seen it since they opened, and it's
Wow.
really fucking good right now.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like to me, Nikkei, like when it really like, and I'm glad you talked to Micha because I think Micha's the guy that like really understands it in a like a really profound way. It's not just like putting sushi and ceviche on a menu together. Like to me, that's what like usually when Nikkei gets exported, that's just what happens, and which is fine sometimes. You know, it's fine. But like I think it's also there's this like possibility surrounding it to do kind of anything just with those two inspirations and just like run with it and do whatever the fuck you want to do with it, and it's really like freeing. Like there's not that many limitations around that, and like I think it works great in a tasting menu. Like it's a way you can really experiment with these two cuisines in a way that it's hard to do, I think, a la carte, even though like at Itamae 2.0, you guys did it really well. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
no, yeah, I so look, to your point, I had I really contemplated what Maido had done before, only because I was heading into a direction that we had not touched before, which was a tasting menu. I'd worked plenty of omakases in my career before, and I didn't want to do an omakase. Like I
Hmm.
understand why it's worded this when I get it, but
Yeah.
I don't even like the vibe of it. You understand? I am not I'm not Japanese, and I'm just gonna,
Right, right.
and I don't want
No,
to.
no, I get it. Like that very like quiet, still,
Yeah,
almost silent preparation. Like I
everybody.
don't see you doing that. No, you're fucking rapping about sushi chef and
But you know
ceviche.
what?
Like, can you imagine like you just standing there like in solitude and like
No,
stillness all around? It'd be
no,
weird. Like it'd be weird.
it,
You're Peruvian American and like that exudes through you. Like I think you're doing it in the way that makes sense to you, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I this is what I came to realization of. Like, no, it has to mirror what Val and I really are like in the kitchen, and especially in the room, it has to mirror what I like, because over time I've had affirmations of people who have come here and to be like, look, the restaurant's great, but I come here because you're cooking and the vibe. And then it's like,
Hmm.
oh, no, like I want to reject that, and I want to say, no, 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 come here for the food. But people are telling me, hey, I'm not coming here just for the food. Food is great, but I'm coming here because I like the way you cook, and I like the way you make me feel when I sit at your counter.
Because
And
it
then,
feels good.
I had to
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, why am I rejecting this? Like,
Yeah.
it's not,
It's
there's
great.
nothing wrong with that. If anything, now I want to do this for 10 people instead of six, which is what we're able to do now. But speaking on food, Nick, like you hit the nail on the head. Like me explaining to Micha, like for example, some of the things that make Itamae what it is. It's in getting an approval. Like, yeah, I've never done that before. So good for you. Like, good. That
Yeah.
means good. That means I am doing this, paying homage and being respectful, which is just as important as everything else that you can put into a space that makes it feel quiet and respectful. If you're really taking away from people, you're not being respectful. It's nothing. Okay, being respectful really means also realizing what others have done before you, and like not saying that we won't look. We're all going to use leche tigre somehow. We might bump into each other's leches at some point. Like, hey, I've made a leche with this before, or I've made a leche with that. Look, one of the greatest leche tigres I've ever had was a freaking Heart of Palms in Pujol. Has nothing to do. None of these guys had worked in
Yeah.
Peruvian restaurants or nothing, but
Yeah.
that is how that is how common a leche tigre is now in a great kitchen. So expect others who have not been to your country to start imitating, because it's the same. Like, I don't know. Like, we have a beurre blanc at Maty's that's a killer that does really well. I mean, what do Val and I have to do with beurre blancs? Not
Yeah.
much. But Val is an American girl who went to work for Thomas Keller at some point in her life. So she wanted to, like, if there was one thing that they're teaching you in that group, is to make sure that your sauces are the best sauces in the world, and that's outside of her also, that maybe the Peruvian side of things just has nothing to do with it, but it's still us. It's still, you know, and like Itamae's nigiri, for example, courses, we have like a scallop. It's like a scallop that we cure in kombu salt. Then it gets banana and charapita. It's like apple banana, which is plátano manzano, which grows
Yeah.
all
The
over
little
Peru.
like stubby
And
one. Yeah.
yeah, and it grows
Yeah.
also here. So
Okay.
we pair both of those things. And charapita is a pepper that, if you've had charapita, you would know this is one of the most flavorful peppers
Yeah.
in the world, and it's incredibly um, aromatic and fruity also, and
Do you
it
get?
comes from homestead because somebody's growing it now for us.
Yeah.
And this woman who's from Iquitos um, started growing it during the pandemic, and then she
Okay.
had like I ended up giving this damn pepper to a couple of my friends who have bigger kitchens, and they ended up really liking it. And now she's not selling it by the ounce anymore. It's like
Yeah.
she sells it by like a quarter pound or like a half pound, and these are expensive peppers. I was like, that's a real Itamae thing. Itamae can
Yeah.
stand on that and say, no, that's not, that happens organically because of us knowing who we really are. You can't get to that result unless you go through these things. You have to know what grows here, what really grows here. But then also, I'm Peruvian enough to know, like the first time I had a plantain, like not plantain chips, but like banana on a ceviche, was a ceviche I think amas, which is like an Amazonian. You remember this concept?
Yep.
And it was like, oh wow, I've never had like boiled. I think it was like a boiled plantain chunks inside the ceviche, and so banana, leche, heat, like it made sense to me, and I was like, why would I do a scallop that's just scallop and some sort of salt and just keep it that way? And because it's so good. I mean, a great scallop when it's fresh and just a little bit of salt and maybe maybe a little bit of lime. It's like it's what everybody loves. But no, this is a true representation of what we see as Peruvian Japanese food, because like I said, we know where it comes from, the idea, but we also know that it wouldn't be possible if we wouldn't be in Miami, because we're not getting frozen charapita peppers. There's a Peruvian woman who lives in Miami that grows them. Same with the plátano manzano. Scallops, obviously, we try to source the best products that we can from Japan, and that's part of the concept. And I think that's what Itamae really is like in a nutshell. It's Itamae is Itamae AO right now is very much Miami, very much Caribbean, very much tropical. Just like parts of Maty's, you can't have the oxtail saltado if you
Hmm.
didn't grow up in Miami eating rabo encendido and every oxtail from every Haitian and Jamaican restaurant around here. So yeah, that's kind of how we view things.
And how is it
Um,
going after 3 weeks, right? 4 weeks, 3 weeks.
This
And
yeah. So
now,
last week was a little bit different because we were only open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. Last week we only operated Wednesday, Thursday to give the kitchen the weekend off because a lot of our kitchen helped us prep actually all the food for the wedding through the weekend, and then they came to party on
ah,
Saturday because we wanted nobody to work on Saturday from our staff. So we kind of gave them, a couple of days off to rest. Also, still come in and help us prep. This week is week 4, and we're now finally operating 5 days a week. So this week, for the first time, we'll be doing Tuesday through Saturday. So right under a month, but we feel good. We feel good. Services have been um, decent. We're for where our standard is and what we want to do, we're there. But what we want to do, we're not there yet. So there's still a lot of growth, and it's good. I'm really excited for how gradually we've been making changes. It's almost like when you do these kind of services, it allows you really to sit down at the end of a service. There's so many notes from 3 4 people that are constantly just watching service instead of what we're cooking at 100 miles an hour, and you just don't always have a chance to recap. uh, this we have even time to recap in between services, which is like the greatest thing. For it's like for 15 or 20 minutes the restaurant's empty, and you know that you're about to be full again, and it's like, yeah, what other service allows you to go through this? It's not a lot, unless you're closing. We weren't. We're just like clearing out the counter, putting, resetting, and it was great. I think I'm really excited for that. It's really really nice. And my wife Lauren, who's handling service right now, it's great. It's been like another. We had never done this prior to Itamae, so it's been like unlocking a different side of our communication and our friendship, which is great. It's been pretty awesome.
is there any relation in how you write music and how you write the menu now? The way just because for me a tasting menu there's so much. For me a tasting menu is almost like a set list of a like a music performance. Like how it like goes up and down, it ebbs and flows, it gets stronger and more subtle. Do you think of that at all? Just because
Well,
you're into music?
we thought of this one. If I can draw parallels to music, it'll be like
Yeah.
kind of when we wrote like Ceviche, which had various things that had elements of growing up in Chiclayo. But this menu too, we wanted to be as the first tasting. So we wrote two menus. One that's the one that we open with, and the next one, it'll be the one that we change to after the summer. The first one is kind of as close as possible to the old Itamae to 2.0, but obviously we've elevated every single thing we could elevate. And it kind of follows the journey. If I may, like we want your taste buds to go through a journey of like Chiclayo cevicherias, if,
Mm-hmm.
if they had like any Japanese influence. Which when I was growing up in Chiclayo, I don't remember any Peruvian Japanese place. I know maybe by now there should be some. Um, but you start uh, like a melon shooter, which is like a compressed melon and a little bit of soy and leche, and it's like a very noble thing that I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed, like compressed melon. That usually you serve you with soy or whatnot, and then you go like muchame, which is fisherman's food, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and here we're treating swordfish belly that we're treating as bacon and
Okay.
aging over like 45 days, just so we can slice it really, really thin. Then we throw it into an oregano oil before service, like 30 minutes before, like rehydrate in that oil, and then
Mm-hmm.
we serve it. Then you go to like potato croquette that's really like a play on a causa freñafana with Bahamian conch.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have like pulpo al olivo, which is like something that people really enjoyed at Itamae. And what we've done now is instead of serving it with rice and nori, we've made like a rice cracker out of rice and nori dough, and are able to serve it like a crispy rice.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have like your sashimi course, which is like a really cool play on fermentation. So I think you, right now we're serving Florida grouper with percebes, with gooseneck barnacles that are coming from Japan. These are called kamenotes or turtle fingers. Love these percebes. They're a little bit wider
Mm-hmm.
than the Spanish ones we get, so we can cut them into nice slices, and they're really really nice. Then you have like an aoriica or big fin reef squid, which is the most prized squid in all over Japan. And any sushi bar you go to, if they love showing off product when big fin reef squid is in season, that's the squid you're gonna get. I mean, there's a peculiar texture with this squid, and as the Japanese like to say, if you salt it properly, once you start chewing on it, you get this sweetness that comes out of it. It's a pretty weird thing, but like as you keep chewing the squid, it gets sweeter, which I think it's like something that we don't do well in Peru. It's like raw squid. We usually
Mm-hmm.
cook all calamari
Yeah.
and all the squid that
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
in.
It's always
Any dish
fried.
that I can remember that I had like,
Yeah.
so this is like I had to learn this by working like with also like Japanese chefs. Um, and then on the leche de tigre is the fermentation place. So the same agilimo that we use to make our classic leche, we'll strain, we'll ferment with like yuzu peel, salt, and kokuto, which is like brown sugar. Then we'll do a good 30, 45 days, make that a kosho, and grab the kosho with strained leche and remake a leche again, which is like one of my favorite things to do. Was trying to find recipes to not waste anything. So our sashimi course embodies all that.
Yeah.
Then you
Like
get nigiri
Sorry.
course.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, sorry.
Yeah. All right. I was just gonna say, like the butchery, the fish butchery you've been doing, like since Itamai started, has it always been breaking down the whole fish and
So
not
in
wasting
the food
anything? Yeah.
hall, in the food hall, when I could, I would definitely like in busy season, I would definitely use fresh
Right.
fish all day.
Right. Right. Yeah. The volume
My
is too much.
my dad would
Yeah.
want to kill me every time he
Oh
saw me
yeah.
big old grouper, and yeah, because he was like, Nando, like the only fish that we found, funny enough, so the only fish that we found that could fit, I think what we were trying to do for a ceviche that was priced at 18 was not go over $7, and this was corvina. Corvina was the only fish that was being frozen, and the integrity of the product was good enough for us to use. That was a frozen fish. As you know,
Hmm.
swai took over the market in Miami. Every Peruvian restaurant that you could think of has been selling basa and swai, and from day one we were like, well, we can't serve that. So we went to Corvina, and we would get this Peruvian and Ecuadorian Corvina, like gold Corvina. I
Hmm.
think a lot of it came from Mexico also. That was a really good product. And then on season, I definitely use grouper, lots of grouper and lots of doormats, because we do have like a lot of flounders all over the East Coast. For whatever
Hmm.
reason, Miami just we don't use a lot of this fish, so it doesn't come south. It usually goes east up north.
But you've been like breaking it down, wasting like very little. I
Yeah.
remember just like the carving and everything you guys were doing, and in the dry aging. We have to talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
when did that kind of begin, and like what inspired you to start the dry aging?
Because it's a
Um,
focus on the new version of Itamae too, right? You want to emphasize that.
so, butchery has always been very important to me because when I started, I actually started working in Japanese restaurants first. So I understood the importance of, and not even the importance, I'm looking for a word, like the privilege that it was that a chef would let you break down a fish. And it was not a joke. There's nothing to laugh
Hmm.
at here. If you weren't understanding the privilege that you were receiving by your sushi chef allowing you to, it was almost like they would not give you a chance again. So I like understood quickly, like I better take this very damn serious. Um, and then when I transitioned onto the Peruvian kitchens, I realized I was like, oh, we love ceviches and we don't know how to treat fish. So if you haven't actually worked in a Japanese restaurant, I ended up realizing that a lot of the restaurants that were very popular here in Miami that I ended up working short anyways places short stages everywhere, but what I realized was that we did not care. Nowhere near how Japanese cooks care about fish before they even put any sauce on it. This is just so product can be served properly. You don't, but before you even break down an animal, you have to clean it. And if you don't even know how to clean a dead, fish, then it's like, I mean, what am I? What? Don't waste your time telling me that your fish is great. It's because Japanese people. That's when the cultural differences really arise. When you go somewhere, you think like your ceviche is hot shit, and the Japanese guy will tell you like, I can tell you, it's just shit. It's not hot shit. It's just shit. Look at your fish.
Yeah,
Look how you've
yeah,
treated your product. And
yeah.
I when I learned about those nuances, I wanted to be more like the Japanese guys who would talk their shit than the Peruvian guy who was like, "Oh man, he's right. He's
Yeah.
right. I don't know anything about this, other than did you pat it dry and wrap it in saran wrap? That's about all you do, guy. What are you talking about? And then came butchery, which only through through Josh Nyland's books and getting
Hmm.
them as a gift the first time the whole fish came out, I've just been infatuated by the idea that there's so much to do with just precise butchery. Like, uh, not that I think our food is alike at all, because I think his is obviously hyper focused on butchering what you can do when you butcher something. Like, for example, I don't think we'll ever do like a tuna chili here, But it makes
Hmm.
sense that with all this ground meat that you can get out of tuna bones, like what are you gonna do with it? Like a sloppy
Hmm.
dough, like great, uh, but it's the inspiration that came from that of realizing that someone was out there really really pushing the limits on these things, and I'm like nowhere near that. So it's like, okay, how do i how do I get on that train, and I think butchery has just been that. It's how do we yeah, part of my uh way of cooking is also now being extremely precise. Like I love to see very very precise cuts, so yeah, just coming from that. But Juliana, I wanted to tell you, Juliana, the biggest reason why we got agers was because at 2.0,
Hmm.
we didn't have a walk-in cooler or walk-in freezer. And at some point, our volume was so high that we started aging fishes in a storage unit where we had like reach-ins downstairs in the garage. In the garage is where we had our reach-ins. Imagine that. And we would transfer fishes in like buckets of like ice on top of ice, towels, bring fish, go up the staircase. It was nuts. But we'd started doing that. And then over time, we we saved up enough to say, you know what, we might as well put a fish cabinet here. And it's the same one that would actually help us improve the product as we go. And it allows the opening cooks to not have to wait for a delivery because you have a 40-pound grouper that's been hanging 3 days. So now all you have to do is take the top loin off today. That's enough for us all day. And that's kind of how we stumbled upon the dry aging. I didn't really learn it from anybody else. We were just like, well, we need a cat. We need another fridge. So it's either you spend it on another one and you keep, uh, rigging it so you can like somehow age something. But with the amount of humidity that a regular fridge throws out or handles, we can never get it right because by the third or fourth day, fish starting to smell, where in a dry ager, when you're really controlling just the humidity alone, uh, yeah, you just don't get those same smells.
For how
So
long do you age it?
now, yeah. So now that so how many dry age do you call them? Chambers, fridges? What are they?
Cabinets, the dry aging cabinets,
Cabinets. Yeah. How many do you have now?
we have three tall ones and two short ones that we do for charcuterie or for specifically like the small ones we'll use for our bacon. Our we do two kinds of botarga. We do like gray mullet, which we make the whole row. The sack
Hmm.
we'll cure it and make botarga, and then we make our sea urchin botarga also, where we'll grab like all the scraps of uni, form like little donuts, and then yeah, it's like a whole
Hmm.
process. But we'll age them also, and then we're able to grate the uni on top of things.
So so now you're not using it out of necessity. Like, when did you start realizing that dry aging could be like kind of take you in a new direction and not just as a way to maintain the quality of the fish?
Um. So I think God, this has been a topic of conversation for me for a good 2 3 years, and I want to be completely candid with you. So, bacon that we age over 35, 40 days, sure, I think there's a great necessity for a
Hmm.
cabin like this. Groupers that we've pushed over 20, 22, 23 days, I can tell you that and when I say we, I mean all of us here at the space have agreed, like, oh yeah, that's a significant change, not just
Hmm.
in flavor, but in texture, which is really hard to achieve, man. If you're meaning, let's say I can grab a 5 pound snapper, a 2 pound snapper, okay? I can hang this snapper, and in a week, the snapper is going to lose 35% of its weight. And sure, you're gonna if I fry it for you, you're gonna go, yeah, it's a significant difference. But if I wanted to serve that same dry aged snapper, but just use the fresh fillets out of it, is it really worth it? Because there's only so much you're gonna be able to use. I mean, those dry bits and pieces for now. Like I always wonder when people are pushing tuna, which is something that we love aging here, but we do not go over at the moment. We don't go over 2 weeks. We're not. We think right under 2 weeks, it's great. Where like tuna loses a little bit of let's say its minerality but it's clearly that it's not to the point where I could say, oh God, this doesn't taste like tuna. If anything, I've never had a piece of tuna that I could say this was worth losing all the other pieces that we had to cut out for.
Hmm.
And what we do is we found different ways. For example, we make XO sauce at Itamae. And what we do is we grab all the chutoro trimmings and we'll treat them like it's pork jowl. So we'll cut them into small pieces, we'll render it, and then we'll start cooking our XO sauce with these beets and pieces. I can tell you, it was the first time we did it, was like, oh, this is great, this is awesome. But then we made a really big batch of XO, and it's not like you can continue at the rate that we use tuna, and that we have like so many leftover trimmings. We haven't been able to make XO the same way. And XO sauce was like one of the few things that we did with the trimmings, where as we ate the final product, we were like, oh, this is great. This Every other product that we tried, if you do get a piece of that tuna, it may not be as pleasant as the idea of it is, what I'm saying, you know. And we found that a lot with dry aging. For example, the eels. Eels are great. Eels work great because the skin, which is really the toughest membrane of an eel that you have to really work on or know how to handle so you can taste a nice piece of eel, just by cleaning it properly and letting an eel hang in there for 5 6 days. Once you grill that piece of eel, oh my god, it is people uh, love the way we treat eel here. And you get a very small piece of eel with strawberry, Florida strawberry and ticuchera, and it's
Okay.
great. Eel does wonders. We've left eel up to 40 days also. The problem with eels is they lose too much volume once you start pushing over 5 6 days. They just shrink way too much. Then for everything else after that that has to do like sashimi, I gotta be honest with you. I just don't want to refer to it as like we dry age this stuff, because I don't think we're making a significant change on it. I think it helps us um, operational wise. I think it helps us not
Okay.
waste the product. I think it helps us with not worry about deliveries that are supposed to come in super early, so we can start getting ahead on the prep day. But we did like 4 services last week, 4 seatings, and let's say we broke down half a kinmedai for those 2 days. There's no difference, Nick, between the kinmedai that we broke down on Wednesday and the one on Thursday, and they both came in the same
Okay.
way. So I started to see a trend where restaurants wanted to update you so bad on, oh, this is 6 days age, or this is seven
Yeah.
days
Yeah.
age, and then we were like, yeah, but are you just telling me that, or there's actually
Yeah.
like a difference on these things? So we realized that maybe we're dumb. Maybe we just can't achieve this significant
Or
difference.
maybe no, but I agree. Like there probably isn't really difference. I mean, like I think everyone wants to push the extreme, at least in the numbers, even if it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
But
I
I
also
mean, you're the guy
the
working with it
luxury
every
of
day, so
like serving, like, and God, look, I have to be careful because I'm not talking down on the old format of omakase. But if I can sit in front of you, Nick, and charge you $185, okay, for 16 or 17 pieces of fish, like, a neta, a nigiri, is more often less than 1 ounce of fish. If you're getting some nice skin on it, sure, maybe a little bit more. Rarely have I ever sat across a chef where I know by the size of net that they're cutting that that's an ounce of fish. So sure, you can have a lot of waste like that when I'm only looking for one piece of sashimi
yeah.
per guest. Where here our tuna has to become sashimi, it has to become a tartar that goes in your aguadito, and it's like, and it has to, and we use the trimmings for exo. So it's like I don't know. I feel like someone's lying here. It's like taking us tremendous amount of work just so we can dry age for maybe one course, but we're having to end up also spending time researching how are we not going to waste what we've now cut out for this one other course.
Yeah.
And we found that no, like this isn't helpful in every way. So I think some things, like I said, like the swordfish, the belly bacon, sure, that's great. That works because, as you know, muchame does need to age. Muchame needs to cure for a long time, and then if you leave it in your ager, it hangs even better than anywhere else. But I can't we're not looking for a muchame texture on every
Yeah,
piece
yeah,
of fish. So it's like it's one particular
yeah,
fish.
yeah.
Um, I really enjoy um, groupers when they come in, and we really have worked 3 4 years just dry aging groupers. But sometimes they come in fresh, we cut them, we use them, and it's like, I don't know, is there anything better than just curing a little bit of grouper sashimi before you serve it? I don't know. Like, that's already a great product in
Yeah.
itself. It didn't need me to, you
Right,
know,
right.
and that's what I know it sounds like a lot of blah, 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 but I hope you guys
No,
understand.
no, I think it's an interesting debate. I mean, like, I think the value of dry aging and the price you're passing on to customers by doing it, it's something to think about. And I think if you're just thinking about, let's just extreme dry age as much as we can to push the button, and it just ends up not really making anything taste better, but just makes things more expensive and makes more waste. It's something that should be thought about and debated. So I like that you're thinking about this, because I don't think that many people are thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
What,
definitely. When I went to Madrid this year and I tried a piece of aleta azul that they had, like
mm-hmm.
the belly treated like a piece of jamon. No, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I don't know.
It's fine.
That's a nice setting. Yeah.
Yeah, we're inside of Itamae right now. You can see it if you're watching the
Oh yeah,
YouTube
that's a counter.
channel. So yeah, that's the counter and a lot of books behind it.
So the fridges are exposed, right?
Yeah, so from the way he kept looking to his right, I'm assuming they were over
Yeah, he
there.
showed to
Yeah.
me before recording, you were setting up and they are right there. So I'm guessing this is, yeah. I mean, we should ask him. He's back. Um, I don't know. I keep thinking, and he already knows this. I see this nice balance between, and this is probably coming from his understanding of music too and rhythm. It's this nice balance between technique and learning from experts and, the Japanese side, the Peruvian side, his own mix of all these, and
Sorry.
feeling that it's right, if it feels right or not every day.
Right.
I
Yeah,
see this
Nando, we're just
balance.
narrating while you were
Yeah.
No, it's actually my neighbor.
while you stepped away.
Like, I
Oh
came
yeah,
to the
it's all right.
hall, and I was like, I don't know. Like, it's not my pallet. Somebody left like a wooden pallet in the hall. But
Yeah.
yeah,
We were wondering, so the counter, the fridges are exposed, right? People
so I
can
have these
see them
sliding
or
door panels here that we did,
Yeah,
like,
okay, there
okay.
they are.
Yeah.
and you can kind of slide them like this and cover it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
okay, okay.
And then for dinner, we'll expose it.
Oh, nice.
I love
Yeah,
All
this.
right, that's cool.
I was
Wait for
curious
you to come
about.
in here.
Yeah, so I was actually there like before Maty's opened. Like I had a layover, and Valerie was at the was there and like showed me around. But it was still like construction site, like, and there was nothing where
Yeah.
you are now. It was just like an empty space. Yeah,
I
but
also
yeah, I
wanted to
need to
tell
come
you
out.
guys, if I may touch on this. I have been getting ready to do like another, like a restaurant, like a signature restaurant that I really would like to do, which is some years away from now, maybe a year and a half, two still. But Val and I really thought that it would complement Maty so much to have this concept in particular. The idea didn't just come from my necessity to do this food or my need or my want. I do desire it, I do love it, but I've also gotten comfortable with my identity. And so that has led me to believe that at some point I will be exploring more of that instead of exploring a Peruvian Japanese food that in today's world seems like even a little bit overexposed. So we thought that because Maty's was is really like a progressive Peruvian restaurant, kind of like uh, like the Llama in Lama San, I guess, going back to
Mm.
Erik for a reference, where Val's take has been like that. And we thought without putting crazy money into the space, because you were talking about the build out, Nick. So if you notice in the beginning, what you'll notice now is it's all cosmetic. The counter that was here before, which was an actual display counter, is the same structure that we kept for our counter bar. Because what we were facing really was we needed to open a concept without breaking the bank or asking for more money because we had already
Hmm.
exhausted those options with Matis. And this did seem like the best spot for us to open. I had asked Val for months that I wanted to do a tasting menu that was kind of like a reflection of Mati's, like
Hmm.
more of like a Peruvian tasting menu. Um, it seemed like she wants to do this on her own at some point, so I ended up thinking, okay, so I guess we'll do Peruvian Japanese, Um,
Hmm.
but it was really the space that lent itself to for us to think, okay, we think because as we were talking about not doing this with out of necessity anymore, like the dry agers, in a way, this space operates solely with what we have in this space. So when you come into the property, Juliana, you'll notice that the property is very big. Matis has not only their kitchen, but a prep kitchen behind Matis, which is twice the size of this room itself. We don't use any of that stuff today. And so I guess in a way, Itamae was already used to functioning out of a small space and dealing with all these stuff. And so we felt like it was really the right concept to do here. Phase two of AO is Val coming here and me spending more time at Matis, which is it's going to start happening soon. What we don't want to do, which we inadvertently did for last year, as we understood what growing up meant in the pub, and really each one of us having an identity, which are things that we've gone over and learned throughout the last year of our career. So once we hire PR and whatnot, um, is that we've separated a little too much from each other, and that we always function better when we're not too distant from each other. Not separate as in physically, because the spaces are next to each other, but I've definitely took on Itamae for years now, and Val has been on
Hmm.
Matis for years now, and we're not. We should be at a place where we're able to do it like we always have, which is as brothers and sisters first before business partners. So I'm pretty excited. I also spent a good amount of my time last year at Matis with the same, with butchery, with dry aging, which we didn't have the dry age in the front, but my Itamae dry ager was always in Mati's kitchen, and we were aging
Hmm.
all the product for them, and we would just didn't find that necessity to market the restaurant, in that sense, or market ourselves. Um, because, like I said, we were learning throughout this curve that um, some of the answers we were getting through dry aging weren't as cool as people were making them out to be. And then we kind of realized, like, hey, back off of that a little bit. Because if you're really doing the work, you kind of have to learn what this is about first. And then, you know. But yeah, I think this is the right concept for it, Nick. Also because as people have known Val and I to be brother and sister, what other place do you go to that has like a Peruvian restaurant that's led by the sister next door, and then a Peruvian Japanese kind of concept, which is a little more intimate, which you have to still go through the big house. So you still have to go through Maty's, get there. Also, when our guests go to the restroom, they have to go to Maty's restrooms. And when we walk people over, people come back, and the first thing they say is like, "Man, it's like stepping into different worlds." It's like Itamae's. The music is always very different. The lighting is always going to be very different. The volume of both spaces is totally different, and we thought that people would really enjoy these places being next to each other for a while. And I definitely want to reiterate how much Val and really all of us have thought about doing this. As we open Matis, this was the goal. The goal was we open Matis and then we get into that space.
Is your dad involved at these two restaurants now?
He is now because he closed the B side on Friday. Like B
Okay.
side Design District was, yeah, it ran all the way till last Friday, and the goal was, look, my dad, man, my dad decided to keep B side open for a year to maintain everybody employed.
Okay.
Not that he needed to, not that he wanted to. I hated the mall. I definitely did not want to be there anymore. I thought it ate away at me for so long. Uh, but my dad was like, "No, I have like three employees, and what are these
Mm-hmm.
guys gonna do if you leave?" And so he did. He kept them there for a year, and over the last couple of weeks, they all transitioned here, so they're all still employed. And sometimes it's about that, man. Sometimes it's just that. It's like there is no
Mm-hmm.
reason. Why do we keep B side? People wouldn't believe me if I told you. It had nothing to do with not that place did not make money at all. It's just some things are more important, and
Mm-hmm.
in a way, we still operate like a mom and pop shop, meaning the dad still makes the decisions, and then you have Val and I who are constantly looking at the businesses. But that is the beauty of all this, still.
So you're all three there now.
Yeah,
Like,
now we're all three here
so,
again
that's
in separate rooms.
back, man.
I
Like
think,
full
I think that was,
circle, man. Like,
but I think at some point my dad was like, "Man, I'm gonna continue to do this, but I need a bigger place. I need my kids in
yeah.
separate rooms. These two
Yeah,
can't."
what is his role right now? How do you
Um, my
interact with
dad,
him?
my dad's role is the everyday operations where he will help us. He'll come in the mornings. He'll check in, bring the mail. Then let's say if we need waters and Cisco was out of stock and Prime Line was out of stock, we'll go to a Restaurant Depot and Jetro. So my dad will say, "Okay, how many waters you need?" He will also call the other location, which is the food hall location in 100 Lucky in Wynwood. He'll ask them what they need, and if they need waters, or my dad loves to get green avocados from there because it's the only place in Miami where the green cases are perfect. So you can buy cases ahead if you want to ripen them yourself, and they're perfect. Because every other place that sells you ripe avocados in Miami is terrible. I think it's the constant change of temperatures, where trucks are
Yeah.
delivering really like cold stuff, and then they go into a warm room, then they go into another store that has them cold, then they go into warm, and it's like where Jetro just keeps them from the moment they arrive in their warehouse,
All right.
and you can really ripen them. It's important things for a menu that has as much avocado as my dad's at
Yeah,
B.
yeah. Shout out to Jethro. Like,
Yeah, shout out to Restaurant Depot, baby.
at Restaurant Depot.
Also, like cleaning supplies, my dad will do that. My dad will call. For example, the food hall doesn't usually need to meet minimums on cleaning supply deliveries like Cisco whatnot, because you don't need $700 worth of that stuff or $500.
Mm-hmm.
You go and get a couple of gallons of each thing, and so that's like his role now. And then he'll also check in on Val emotionally and mentally, and same thing with me, just to see if we're
Hmm.
okay, and we usually are. I'll tell you, I've never seen my dad dance so much, but he definitely danced all wedding. He
Oh
danced the
yeah.
whole wedding. Yeah,
Uh,
they were kicking this man out. Like, sir,
What,
you
what
have to
what kind of
go.
music did you have at your wedding?
It was,
yeah.
hip hop, some Peruvian folk music for the Peruvians
Right.
that came, and visited us, and then lots of, 90, 2000s R&B, the stuff that we love. I had a
Did
great
you
day.
ever did you
I,
ever go to that restaurant in like downtown Lima, Central? That's like it's like in a monastery or something, and it's like all these French nuns, and at the like end of the meal, they like all like clap and like sang like Ave Maria or something.
no, really? No.
Fuck, what's it called? Yeah, it's I'm sure it's still there, but yeah, it's all these like nuns, like French nuns that.
What kind of restaurant is it?
It's
Like
just like a kind of international restaurant run by the like nuns, but it's in the center of Lima. And it's very famous. I can't remember the name, but yeah, they like sing. But maybe you could do something like that. Like you could rap at the end of the meal, or weave that into the tasting menu
No, I think
at Itamae.
it's happened to me a couple times over the last couple weeks where people have the design of the menu actually gives in. It's like it says. Um, so it says actually it reads the Nikkei experience and it's an 8-track LP.
Yeah, see, there you go, man. It's just like an
Yeah,
album.
that was
Like,
your
Yeah, so it's like
question.
8 courses. Every
oh,
course has like 2, 3 bites, but and then we
Crazy.
did like these drawings that we did
okay. What are those?
where these are actually abstract ideas of the dishes dimensions of every dish's dimensions, but we spray
Okay.
paint it. So it's like we wanted to add the 5 elements, of hip hop as much as we could onto the menu. Graffiti was one of them. Making some of these things look like they're break dancing was like one of them. Yeah, so I think also like keep my name, the restaurant's name away. We made it really about like music, and then you kind of have like all the courses or the bites per course.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so and then it opens like this. So
Cool.
the logo itself may seem just like letters,
Mm-hmm.
but
AO. Yeah.
they're really like two chef hands. One
Mm-hmm.
of them has like a nigiri, like a neta in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of the palm, and the other one has like a piece of fish, and it's just like two palms doing this. So
All right, that's
it
cool.
has like a lot of hidden element, and I like telling this story with people, but only if they ask. And then otherwise, it's just there. It's a representation of us. Some people find it cool. Some people kind of leave it there on the counter.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe they find it cool and they're just not vocal about it. Just like social media, they don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
so far, good response.
Yeah.
We've been very lucky to be honest with you because it seemed like people really missed Itamae, which was weirdly
Mm-hmm.
unexpected. Like, you know, people to tell you that it's one thing, people to show you that a year after you've been closed, it's another. So it's cool. Um, it's been a cool process.
I'm sure. Juliana, anything else?
Well, I was thinking for the things that I have read about you, interviews and descriptions, I guess it should be precise that it's not an omakase because I think it's kind of out there. So for what you're telling us is more. And then the other thing, like you didn't give up to music at all, which is the other thing that I have read around, and it's not.
No,
No, it's very present.
it
So
very much is. I just don't play
yeah,
my own music in this space.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, but
Wait,
it's
what
there.
kind of music do you play, like during the meal?
It's straight hip hop.
Okay, straight. Okay,
Mm.
cool.
Yeah, it's the
It's
kind
not
of
like
music
it's not
that
Ave
would
Maria.
go
Okay.
like, stop playing this. You can't do fine dining like this. And it's like, shut up. Just relax and vibe out,
Yeah.
man. You'll be okay.
And then the other thing, it's if you have noticed different comments from depending on groups, Peruvian Americans, Peruvians visiting, just random tourists or people from Europe, or Americans that are not Peruvian. Have you noticed that they have a different experience or highlight something from the menu or the flavors or not really?
Um, yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I notice these things pretty quick. On every version of Itamae that we've had, you know that different demographics just react different to your food.
Okay.
With this version of Itamae, I feel like we've had so if we split our demographic right now into people who have been to old Itamae and people who are
Hmm.
just coming into new space, people who are coming to a new space love it, and people who have been to the old Itamae love it, but tell you how many times they wish that you could open the other one. Meaning
Ah.
it's like I love this, like I love this, Nando, but I hate that it's only 10 seats. I hate that I used to think I can go to Itamai twice a week, and people really could come to
Hmm.
Itamai twice a week and have a ceviche tiradito, and that's it. And then the next time you go, you're having like you're going out with friends, and you're having every ceviche, every tiradito, every a grilled collar or rice. I don't know, nigiris.
Hmm.
Where this version of Itamai, because it's a tasting menu like this or omakase, you're gonna eat what we've chosen for you, right? And I think that's a clear distinction in what how
Yeah.
you used to
Hmm.
experience itamai and
Yeah.
what it is now, which is a chef's choice, like an omakase. Then, yeah,
Is it?
that's okay.
Yeah. Is
Hmm.
there ever a
Hmm.
thought to open like a regular Itamai again, like a bigger one where not in the design district, but
I don't know.
your own space.
I don't know. Like I think where I'm headed, I think I know what I kind of want.
Hmm.
Originally before Maty's, we dabbled the idea of like, should this whole property just be an Itamai? And
Hmm.
that's like the a la carte menu. This is the tasting, but I don't know. I think I don't know his answer right now. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I know that we have plans to do lunch, which will also not be a la carte, but it will be a prefix.
Okay.
Yeah, with the prefix menu, it's like sashimi, soup salad, nigiri, and dessert. And it's very
Okay.
simple. Like you come in, let's say I give you two choices. You can either today you can have your grouper ceviche, which is your like domestic fish, or let's say you want to try something Japanese. We can do a kinmedai tiarito with a seasonal leche, kind of like how the old Itama used to be. But you can only have either or. But if you come in
Hmm.
as a couple, if it's you and a friend, you can have the grouper, they can have the tirito, and then you guys can share. And the
Yeah.
nigiris will have like a three-piece nigiri set, or like a two-piece tamaki, like a hand roll set. Then you will have a choice of soup or salad, and at the end, a choice of two small desserts. I want to say like somewhere around 45, 55 is the number that we wanted to reach. And then a bunch of add-ons, because people always are asking
Hmm.
for add-ons, even for dinner. And right now, I'm like, no, I'm not doing any add-ons right now. And
What kind of add-ons do they want? Like
yeah,
onion stuff or like caviar?
people always want not just caviar. People always want uni. If you serve like uni botarga, they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, do you have fresh uni?" And it's like, "No, I don't want to serve fresh uni. That's why I'm going all the way out here to try to make it a botarga." So you're like, "Oh, this is cool. It just should be the same marine intensity, just not served the same way too, But I also understand like these add-ons are cool in an experience. Like I like going to Attaboy, Boy, and every time I've gone to Attaboy, Boy, which I actually think I've been with you to Attaboy. Boy.
Yeah, yeah, we went. That's the
Did
first time I met you.
did we not do every
Yeah.
add-on? Like, yeah, you
We
want
did.
to
I think we ordered the whole menu.
have pretty much.
Yeah.
So
No, I
I
think it was the whole menu. There was like a group of
so
us, and
good, bro. And then we actually met each other in Madrid. We met with Chef JP, and it was pretty cool, man. What an awesome guy, bro. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So yeah, like we have a plan for that at the end of the summer. Um, but I know it's still not going to satisfy that one guest who used to come to Itamae, eat a
yeah.
roll for $18, and then maybe had a cremolata or something. I don't know. Like there's not
Hmm.
much I can do. If you want it, that version of Itamae where you could come in and have a bowl, which was the best deal in town. Where you're coming in here, you have like a shirashi bowl or a ceviche bowl for $18. Yeah, I'm like, we're not there anymore. We're not in a food hall. I can't. I just, some of these
Yeah.
things, some of these changes come because the business demands it, not because it was a chef's choice. It just happened here that the people making those decisions for the business are also the people making the decisions for your food. Uh, in a lot of restaurants, that is not the case. So we don't have to answer a lot of these questions. But here we do. Like I'm aware, but I don't think so. I think what's going to happen, if I can think of the future, I think once Maty's lunch opens, then we'll sprinkle a lot of that stuff in there, and
Okay.
it'll have like if Matis could be a place where you can come in for lunch and have very different ceviches, tiraditos, things like that, then great.
Okay.
Um, that's where maybe I could see it one day. Because look, Matis has so much more to give. We just the last 5 6 months also. I haven't been able to help Val. It's been Val doing it alone, and I also know what that means. And this space is huge. Nick, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's huge. No one can do it alone. And I think we're all asking a lot out of her right now. And as soon as it's felt over the last week, especially from the first 3 weeks of opening, that we were like getting the hang of things, and it felt good. Like, okay, they can handle the mornings what they prep on their own, and I can go back, to the idea that Val have is from the I don't know if you ever visited the prep kitchen of Matis, the one that's behind the prep kitchen. There's like a big
When I saw it, there was. I don't think there was any. I did see it, but there was just like a couple of tables or something
so
there.
Val and I from that part of the restaurant, we're gonna feed both restaurants prep wise. It's
Okay.
gonna become like our lab. What we want to do is like
Okay.
what Val and I want to have a lab there. So there may be a time where I take all these agers to the back,
Put it
Juliana,
there.
to just say like, sorry, like, yeah, they don't need to be part of service. It's whatever. It's not, as long as we're, you know, getting them to work properly and they work for us, and that's where that's where we're leaning. So I'm pretty excited. This was like phase two, like opening Itamae, and now phase three for the property is how Val and I are going to integrate both restaurants to our daily lives and check in on both things that we need to. So
All right, man. Well, I think we've talked
Sounds
for like
like
an
a
hour and a
plan.
half. Yeah.
thank you guys so much for having me.
No.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you so
No.
much,
Thanks for
Nando.
talking,
It was a
man.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
thank
I'll
you.
be down there soon. I'm
I
sure.
hope to be.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I
Hopefully.
can't wait,
exactly.
Nick. Thank you guys so much, Juliana. It was really nice to meet you.
Nice to
I'm
meet
gonna
you
run
too, and
now.
I hope
I
to
have to
make
go
it
check.
there
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah. Don't want to miss
Check
that.
this too. Look, hold on
Good
before you
luck
leave.
with
I'll
that
show you.
and with the
Good.
pain.
Let me see if you just look at this, and you may think I'm exaggerating. Be like, look at this crap.
Oh, you have it there?
What is it?
Oh my God.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Wow, that's a big screw.
Well,
All
with
right.
that, I'm signing off. I
Yeah.
won't
With
hang
that.
up, but I will see you
Yeah, on
guys later.
that note,
Really nice to meet you, Juliana. Nick, thank you so much
very
for
nice to
everything,
meet
brother.
you too. Thank
Yeah,
you.
can't wait
Thanks,
to
Hope to
man.
see
see
you
you
guys. So
soon,
hopefully, I'll see you guys shortly. Bye bye.
hopefully.